Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Fulfilling the need in the Hanbali school. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalam ala Rasul Kareem. Rabbana taqabbal minna zinna ilma wa hikma huda. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad abduka wa rasuluka nabiyil ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam taslima. Allahumma atina nufusana taqwaha wa zakkiha anta khayra man zakkaha anta waliyuha wa mawlaha. Allahumma hamshukana amma ba'd. All the praises belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything in the universe, they happen because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And may Allah's blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his peace. What comes after, amma ba'd. Today, this lesson I'm going to cover for you in the school of Ahmad ibn Hanbal, in the Hanbali school, as explained by Ibn Qudamah al-Maqdisi in his book Al-Umdah. And the chapter is called Al-Qada al-Haja, fulfilling the need. And what that refers to is when a person, they go to the bathroom and they do the things, but they use the good words for it. They don't want to use things that sound impure. So they say fulfilling the need, Qada al-Haja. Qada means fulfilling, and Haja, the need. That's the chapter that we're covering, and these are the issues that a person, they have to do with when they go to the bathroom, when they urinate or defecate. So that's the thing. So the first point is, يستحب لمن إذا دخلوا الخلاء أن يقولوا بسم الله أعوذ بالله من الخبث والخبائث. So this is the standard dua that a person, they say when they're going to enter the lavatory or the privy. They say أعوذ بالله من الخبث والخبائث. That's mentioned in many authentic hadiths from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And you see, in the Hanbali school, what he does is he bases the rulings on directly from the hadith. And Ahmad ibn Hanbal is Imam al-Sunnah. He's the Imam that follows the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the things are mentioned from the hadith. So this here is mentioned directly from the hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When a person they enter, they say, A'udhu billahi, I seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, min al-khubthi wal-khaba'ith, from the filth and the filthiness. And there's also another meaning for khubthi wal khaba'ith. The Shaykh will mention that afterwards. Okay, then it says, وَمِنَ الرِّجْسِ النَّجَسِ الشَّيْطَانُ الرَّجِيمُ. So the Shaykh, he says that from the impurities is the impurity of the shaitan. Because what happens is when a person, they listen to the shaitan, they don't have the pure feelings or pure ideas. And certainly their nafs, their soul is not pure. And that's what happens, the rijs, the impurities are from the shaitan. And also, what happens, some of the ulama, they say khubthi wal khaba'ith, that refers to male and female shaitans. So that's perhaps why the Shaykh, he mentioned that as the second point, that from the rijs, from the impurities, is from the shaitan. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, innamal mushrikeena najas. The mushrikina are impure, and it's not their physical impurity, but their their spiritual impurity, because they don't believe in what's correct and right in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. So that's what the Shaykh, he says, that the impurity is from the impurities from the shaitan. And then when a person, they come out, they say Ghufranak. Ghufranak, that means by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask for your forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And many of the ulama, they explain that is that a person, they should spend all their time remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and doing the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when they're in the privy, when in the bathroom, they're away from that situation where they say the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when they come out, they say, Ghufran, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. That's what's enjoined on the person to say when they come out. And these are based on the hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then we know for Alhamdulillah, adhaba anni al-adha wa a'fani. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has removed from us the harm, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has preserved us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has preserved me. This is part of the rest of the dua that a person, they say when they come out of the bathroom or the privy or the lavatory. Okay, then the next point is when you enter into the lavatory, you enter with your left foot. Because the lavatory is not a pure place, and you want to spend the maximum time with your right foot outside in a pure place, and the minimal amount of the maximum amount of time with your right foot outside, and And then when you enter with your left foot, then your left foot goes in the impure place and your right foot remains on the outside. So when you enter with your left foot. And then when you exit, وَالْيُمْنَ فِي الْخَرُوجِ. So you go out with your right foot when you exit. So what happens is your right foot is more in the pure place and your left foot remains in the impure place longer. So that's the sunnah. Enter the privy, the bathroom, with your left foot and go out with your right foot. So your left foot remains the longest time inside the privy, and your right foot remains the longest time outside of the privy. That's what the Shaykh says to do. Then it says, وَلَا يُدْخِلُ شَيْئًا فِيهِ ذِكْرُ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى إِلَّا مِنْ حَاجَةٍ. So a person should not bring anything to the place of the lavatory or the bathroom or the toilet that has the mention of the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the reason for that is a person, they have to honor and glorify the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to debase it and deprive it. And if you bring something with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a place of filth, then that's not honoring the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so that's problematic if a person, they have something with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have to go to the privy. And that's something that happened in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He had a ring that said Muhammad Rasul Allah, and it's problematic if he had to go to the bathroom. And some of the ulama say that what he did is that either he took off the ring when he went to the bathroom, or he covered it with his hand so it wasn't exposed, the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the main point over here is that you want to honor the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not disgrace them and debase them. So you don't want to enter the bathroom with the things with the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, unless there's a necessity, unless it's necessary, to do so. If there's thieves out there, and if you leave your things out, you're going to steal it, then you can say that's a necessity to do so. Okay, inshallah. Okay, then it says the next point, it says recline in the sitting on the left foot. So what happened in the old days, they didn't have the toilets that were raised up, they were all in the ground. And even nowadays, in the majority of places in the world, when you look at the toilets, that they have the place where they go to the bathroom, it's built in on the ground. It's not raised up. That's not the most common thing, because most of the world they're in poor condition, and they're not as wealthy, as well-to-do as some of the other places where they have the regular toilets that are elongated. So they're in the ground. Then at the time of Ibn Qudamah, it's the same deal, that these were not at all known to anybody, where you have the anglais toilet, where you have the elevated toilet. Rather, you had everything that was in the ground. And what he said is, he reclined on and sit on the left foot. He recline in the sitting position on the left foot. So that's how a person, they would go. They'd crouch down and use the bathroom that way. They wouldn't have a seat to sit on. That's how it was back in the old days. So that's why the Shaykh mentions that. Then it says, وَإِنْ كَانَ فِي الْفَضَاءِ أَبْعَدْ وَاسْتَتِرْ. وَإِنْ كَانَ فِي الْفَضَاءِ أَبْعَدْ وَاسْتَتِرْ. So what happens if a person, they're going outside outside, not inside in the bathroom or the toilet? What they do is they go far away from the people. So that's what the Sheikh said. Abad means go far away, and istatir, and it means conceal oneself. Because it's not appropriate for a person when they're using a restroom or defecating, urinating, to do it around other people. So what the person, they could do is they go outside in the outhouse, they go far away, not in a facility, not in a room or something, not just far away from the people where nobody can see them and they're very far, and also in a place where they're concealed and nobody notices them and sees them. And that's the other way that a person, that's another etiquette of a person when they use the bathroom, qada al-haja, fulfilling the need, to go far away. And that's what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. He went so far away, and he concealed himself so that nobody would notice him using the bathroom. And the same thing goes when a person if they are using a bathroom, it's not a place to, to be around other people. Rather, a person, they should be far away from the people. Okay, then the next point, وَأَرْتَعَدْ لِبَوْلِهِ مَوَاضِعَ رِخْوَةٍ. So if a person, they're going to urinate, they want to choose a place that is rikhwa, that is soft. Because, what happens is if a person, they urinate on a hard place, then the urine remains over there and it goes above the hard surface and it's really more filthy. So if they choose a soft place, then the urine will seep down into the ground and then become purified through the earth. And that's what's appropriate, not to urinate on a hard surface, otherwise the urine remains there stagnant, but to urinate in a soft place. That's what the Sheikh mentioned. And this again, this refers to when if a person, they go outdoors and they go and use go to the bathroom outdoors. It's not talking about when you have a regular toilet inside. Okay, inshallah. And the next point is, this is وَلَا تَبُوءُ وَلَا يَبُوْلَنَّ. So these are points where a person, they should not urinate. The first place says, fi thaqib wala shak. That means not in a crack or a hole. So if a person, they're going and they see there's a crack somewhere in the ground or a crack in the wall or something like that, or a hole, then they should not urinate in that place. And it could be that the urine there, it becomes what do you call it becomes filled in there like a cup, and then it gets filled up with the urine, or you don't know what's going to happen on the other side of the hole or the crack. So that's what's not appropriate. That's why the Sheikh, he said that, the wisdom behind it. Don't urinate in a crack. There's a crack in the ground or someplace like that, or in a hole in the ground. That's not an appropriate place. And there could be other reasons too. There could be something inside the hole or inside the crack, and so all these things are there. So the Sheikh, what he does, he says things that's based on the hadiths from Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So apparently in the hadith there might be something that's mentioned about that, not to urinate in that particular place. And especially the book of Imam Ahmad, he has the Musnad Imam Ahmad, which is quite extensive, 40 volumes. He has a lot of hadiths that are there. And Imam Ahmad, he bases his rulings directly from the hadiths that are mentioned. Okay, the other place, wala tariq, not in the pathway. So don't urinate in the pathway where people, they walk on, because obviously a person, they should be kind and considerate for the rest of the people. And if they urinate over there, and then the people are walking across over there, that's really not being considerate for them. So that's the other place not to do it. Wala tariq, not in the pathway. Wala dhillin nafiya. The next place is not in the shade that is beneficial for people. Because what happens is the people, they are out there in the sun, in the heat. So what they like to do is they like to go in the shade. And if that's the place where people, they're using it for benefit, the shade, then it's not appropriate to urinate over there and make that place filthy, because that's a place where people, they gather to be cooled down from the heat of the sun. So that's not allowed. That's point number 13. Point number 14. Wala tahta shajaratul muthammara, and not below a tree that has the fruits growing on it. And for obvious reasons, people, if the tree has fruits growing on it, then people, they're going to go there and extract the fruit from the tree. So if a person to urinate there, then that's making that place filthy. So it's not allowed to urinate in that place underneath a tree that is fruitful, that has the fruits growing on it. Okay, and then the next point, when he says about the urinate, wala tastaqbil ash-shamsan wala qamaran. So don't face towards the sun or the moon when you urinate. Because what happens is, if you're pointing in that direction, then that's not appropriate. The sun and the moon are signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And apparently there's a narration that says that not to urinate in that direction. So a person should not urinate towards the sun or the moon. So it says, wala yastaqbil al-qibla. And when a person, they urinate, do not face towards the qibla, towards Mecca, where a person, they pray, because Mecca is a sacred object in a sacred direction, and a person, that it's not appropriate for a person to urinate in that direction, where people they pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then it says, Wala yastabdaraha, and not to back face towards the Qibla as well. So if a person, not to face towards the Qibla and not to put their back towards the Qibla when they urinate or defecate, that's not allowed. Because those are sacred objects of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's not appropriate for a person to face in that direction or put their back in that direction when they're doing something filthy. Okay, and then point number 18 is the Qawli Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, La tastaqbilul qiblata bi ghaid wala bol wala tastaburuha wala tastadaburaha. So the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, don't face towards the Qibla, the direction of the prayer in Mecca, when a person they're urinating or defecating, and not to put their back towards that direction. That's directly a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then the thing is, وَيَجُوزُ ذَلِكَ فِي الْبِنَاءِ, and that is allowed in a built structure. So what happens is, if a person they're in a room and they have the walls that are blocking the person, then that's fine to face that direction, because it's not, that's an exception to the rule, because you have the wall that's blocking the person, so it's not symbolizing where a person they're facing the sacred direction, because the wall is blocking the person. So that's an exception if it's in a built structure. If a person they're inside a shed, or they're inside walls, or they're inside a lavatory or bathroom, toilet that's inside a structure, then it's not prohibited to face towards the Qibla, because it's not directly going there. But if a person they're out in the wilderness, out in the open, then it's not allowed to face towards the Qibla or the back towards the Qibla. Okay, then it says, the Shaykh he says, when the urine stops, wipe from the base of the penis to the head and shake it 3 times. And that's to remove all the urine from one's private part. So that's what the Shaykh he says. I heard some of the other shuyukh from Medina, when I heard this lesson from the Shaykh over there, from Shaykh Suhaimi Roheli. He said that this is not something that's emphasized in the Hanbali school. So this is something, there's ikhtilaf in the Hanbali school for a person to do that after urinating, if they should try to let out all the urine from their private part after it's done. That's what the Shaykh he said. Okay, then he says, وَلَا يَمُسُ ذَكَرُهُ بِيَمِينِهِ وَلَا يَتَمَسَّهَا بِهَا. And what that means is not to touch the private part with your right hand, and do not wipe it with your right hand. Because what happens is, the right hand should be used with sharaf, the things that are honorable, and used for things that are good. Like a person, they eat their food and they shake hands with people. So don't use your right hand to clean one's private part and the other places. You don't want to get filth on it, but rather to use the left hand to do that with the left hand, not with the right hand. And that's the wisdom behind it. When a person, they go meet somebody, shake with the right hands. If you shake with the left hand, then that's considered to be uncivilized, because the person, they use their left hand to clean their private parts with it. So that's one of the wisdoms behind it. So that's why he said not to touch the private parts with the left hand. So that's the etiquette in Islam, to use your right hand for things that are clean and pure, and the left hand when a person, they cleanse themselves. And also they say the shaitan, his hands are left hands. So that's another wisdom behind it. The next point is ثُمَّ يَسْتَجْمَرُ وِتْرًا. So what happened is, in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they used to go to the bathroom, they used to clean themselves with rocks. And if anybody's been to Saudi Arabia, when we go there in Saudi Arabia, you see just barely outside of the city, there's so many rocks all over the place. Tremendous amount of rocks, There's more than 1 billion rocks, like in every square mile. The rocks all over the place. So over there, it's very abundant. And then when people, they would go to the bathroom there in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the rocks were everywhere. And what they could do is they could clean themselves with the rocks. with the rocks and the stones that were on the ground. In today's day and age, many of the ulama, they say the toilet paper, it could be considered to be analogous to the rocks. So a person, they can clean themselves with a toilet paper, and that would be like using the rocks. And when a person, they do it, they use an odd number of rocks or odd number of toilet paper. That's what the Sheikh mentioned, witran, in the odd number, he says. Okay, inshallah, the next point is after that. After using the rocks, ثُمَّ يَسْتَنْجَى بِالْمَاءِ. Then after that, cleanse oneself with the water. So you have two ways, two things that a person, they can do after using the bathroom. They have the istijmar with the rocks or the toilet paper, and they have the istinja with the water. So what happens is some people, they do both of them, and this is what the Sheikh mentions, that a person, they use the rocks first, then the water afterwards. They could do that. And so those are the two different ways that a person, they clean themselves after using the bathroom, with the water and with the rocks. And over here, the Sheikh mentions both of them clean with the rock first and then the water after. And in the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, people, they used to do one or the other. And there were people in the Masjid al-Quba, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, فِيهَا نَاسٌ يُتَحْتَهَرُونَ. That means there are people that are very pure. They like to be extra pure. And it's said that those people, they used to do both of them, both the rocks as well as the water that's mentioned in the Quran. So then, that's what they say, then clean with the water. Then it says, the next point, وَإِنِ اقْتَصَرَ عَلَى الْإِسْتِجْمَارِ أَجْزَى. If a person, they limit themselves to the rock, that's fine, as long as the impurity does not extend beyond that point. So if a person, they limit themselves to a toilet paper and they clean themselves, then that's sufficient, as long as you don't have impurities that are spread in widespread. Whereas a person, they would use water to cleanse in the other areas. So that's what the Sheikh mentioned. That a person, they can use a rock as long as the place of impurity is limited, so that the rock removes all the impurity from that location. But if it is more widespread, then the water would be appropriate to do so as well. Okay, that's point number 24. Point 25. La yajzi akal min thalatha masahat munakkiya. So it's not allowed for less than 3 wipes. 3 wipes. No, and because less than 3, it doesn't sufficiently clean the area, so you have to do at least 3 times. And with at least 3 times cleaning the place, so that cleans it more. Less than that is not allowed, but more than that is allowed. And an odd number, more than that, 5, 7, 9, so on, to 5, 7, 9, 3, 5, 7, 9, odd number of rocks. And the wiping person, they do at least 3 times in the wiping. All right, inshallah, number 26. وَيَجُوزُ إِسْتِجْمَارٌ بِكُلِّ طَاهِرٍ إِلَّا الرَّوْثِ وَالْإِذَامِ. So it's allowed to clean oneself with rocks, with the solid object, with everything that's solid, with all the clean things, except for roth, which is dung, or idam, or bones. So that's mentioned by a hadith from Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that not to use the roth and not to use the bones when a person, they cleanse themselves. And this again is, if you go to Saudi Arabia, you see that all types of rocks are all over the place. You know, it's like completely filled with rock. And if a person, they go and use a bathroom, they're readily available. And the person, they should make sure, what this is saying, is to use rocks, not to use dung, not to use things that animals had defecated and then became hard. You know, that's not allowed. And not to use bones. And what I heard a sheikh, he explained the reason behind that. And he says for dung, if a person, they use that, that's impure already. So a person, they're not cleaning, they're adding impurity to something that's there if they use the dung. So that's the problem with the dung. Person, they want to remove the impurity, but if they use the dung, then it's like wiping oneself with impurity and adding more impurity. And the case for bones, the sheikh, he explained it, is that what happens is the bone, it doesn't have it doesn't have porous surfaces. So when they wipe with the bones, it doesn't carry away the impurity. It's too slippery. So that's how the Sheikh explained it. I heard one of the Sheikhs taught in Medina. He mentioned the wisdom behind it. So the bones is very slippery, and what you want is you want the rock. You want something that will remove the impurity from the location, but the bones it's slippery, it slides. So the person they do it doesn't remove anything. So that's what the Sheikh he had mentioned. And the thing is, we have to always follow the text of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then we look at the wisdoms behind it. So that's one of the things that the Sheikh explained. Some of the other shuyukh, they say that these things are from the shaitan, so a person, they avoid those things. So the thing is, we follow it and obey it, sama'na wa ta'na, then we can look at the reasons behind it. Okay, inshallah. وَمَا لَهُ قُدَمَةٌ, and not to clean oneself with something that is sacred. Now, if you have something that is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously you don't want to clean private part with it, or clean with something that's filthy with it. Rather, you should honor it. So that's the last thing that the Sheikh he had mentioned. Okay, inshallah. So these are the things that the Sheikh he mentioned. Ahmad ibn Hanbal, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon him, and in the Hanbali school. And these things you find that they're directly found in the hadiths from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So a person, they have to go by it and continue on it. With the ilm, the modern day scholars, they have to build upon what they learned from the shuyukh in the past, from Imam Ahmad, who built upon the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So these are the things that are here. If I said anything from the ilm and the knowledge and what's correct, you follow it. If there's anything from myself that I said, just disregard it. My objective is to relay the things from the knowledge, not say anything from myself. And if there is anything by myself, just disregard it. Don't follow that, but rather follow the ilm that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Jazakallah khair, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.